Am I the idiot for not allowing my upstairs neighbor to run plumbing through my property so he can add a handicapped accessible extra bathroom? I own a condo. My neighbor has a unit above mine. He approached me with a bathroom addition plan to his unit. They are an elderly couple, his wife has a condition worsening with age. He wants to convert a bedroom to a second master bedroom with a handicapped accessible ensuite for the disabled wife. This bathroom needs supply and drainage piping to run through my unit below. The plumbing requires opening my ceilings, floors and walls of my living room. The renovation, mess and repair would be disruption to my tenants who rent my place now. The noises of a bath draining or toilet flushing would be heard in the living room. I'd want reimbursement to my tenant for loss of use during the work followed by cleaning everything to my tenant's satisfaction. I'd want contractors of my own choosing to do the work. I'd have to get involved and petition the HOA to allow the work in my unit. The plumbing supplies would run in an exterior wall of my condo, and if they froze/leaked, we have very cold winters, the first damage would be into my unit below. If ever a clog or repairs, another excuse to enter my condo. Who'd thereafter own those pipes in my condo walls? If he sold his place, would the next tenant respect this arrangement, or would we need an easement? It was a can of worms. I studied the man while he spoke. There was desperation in his words, eyes and expressions. Refusing this unappealing project would be an uphill battle. I chose to just answer with a simple no. Sorry to disappoint, but I can't help you. He demanded to know why not and guessed my reasons. I just repeat myself exactly, refusing his bait as he argued further and grew agitated. He'd whittle me down and held me to a long debate until I said yes. I sidestepped all that, not giving him my reasons to challenge. I didn't wish to waste the next 30+ minutes explaining all of my concerns, hearing they were unimportant to him, or his suggestions to mitigate them. He was exasperated with my same answers. And after 5 minutes called me a freaking broken record before stomping off. He is gossiping about me to our neighbors. I'm against disabled people. How could I refuse to help his poor wife? Because of me, she has a bad quality of home life. Other busybody neighbors stopped me to discuss our problem and speak on his behalf, but I cut them off saying the matter doesn't concern them. The next day somebody stopped to tell me this was a bad look for me. Fed up, I told him good thing I'm not running a popularity contest, now leave me alone. He's using a disability to garner support when I have a right to refuse participation. Maybe he should renovate his existing master bathroom to suit his wife, or maybe this condo is unsuitable for them and should move. This is not a private house permitting such customization. I had a touch of guilt when I saw him bring his wife home and she was struggling to use a walker. Not the idiot. He's on the second floor and his wife uses a walker. Already his condo is dangerous for her in a way he can't fix with renovations. He has no right to force that much alteration to your condo just because he thinks it will benefit his wife. Honestly, I think they need to move into a disability-friendly home somewhere rather than try to fix something with several obstacles to his wife's safety. Not the idiot. He has a solution available. It's just not one he wants. He needs to move to a more handicap-accessible place. You did the right thing by refusing to elaborate your reasons, as his reaction to not being able to argue with you shows. No is a complete sentence, even if it's not a satisfying one at times. Not the idiot. What he is asking directly affects the value of your property, and I have a feeling your homeowner's insurance would have a thing or two to say also. It is very possible that what he is asking wouldn't even be allowed by the HOA board since it incurs into your unit. You can have sympathy for him, but you are in no way required to diminish your property to benefit him. Not the idiot. It sounds like they need to move. This is not a reasonable accommodation that they want you to make. This is major work that you cannot expect your tenants to pay you rent to put up with. So even if they paid the building cost, it would cost you a significant amount of money. This would require someone being in the property to be with the builders. Who is taking time off work to do that? You? Your tenants? It would require the tenants to pack up their stuff and basically move out of the living room, if not the whole flat, as the minute you start taking down walls and ceilings the dust is going to be horrendous. If the harassment continues, contact the HOA. Am I the idiot for turning in a school project that showed my neighborhood and neighbors in a bad light? I'm a high school student in a Spanish class, and we had an assignment to make a video tour of a place. It had to be in Spanish, and had to be conversational, like you were showing a friend around. I decided to just walk around my street and make a tour of that because my family wasn't going anywhere else. So I filmed a neighbor's house. When I walked by, they were having a screaming fight like usual. Here are the neighbors, they are very angry. They like to yell in the morning, afternoon, and night. The next neighbor's house, Joe and Tammy live here, they are very nice and have 3 dogs. Someone drives by and catcalls me profanely. As a joke I yell back "Estupido perro," which means stupid dog, then he slammed his brakes and yelled something racist before speeding off. I said to the camera, "This man is very stupid. He is a man, but acts like a dog." Edit to clarify something, I'm white, but I think this idiot assumed I was Hispanic because I was speaking Spanish. A lot of people in the comments are talking about my experiences as a person of color, and I just wanted to clear up that I'm not, and don't want to speak for the people who actually experience this kind of crap regularly, because one rude comment is nothing like having those kinds of experiences all your life. I also introduced 10 other mundane things like flowers, a bird, etc. I cut out the long sequences of me walking. But I left everything else. My teacher had a rubric of the types of descriptions and numbers of things you needed, and taking any out would lose me points. It was too dark out to film more. The second part of the assignment was to upload the video on the school website, and post comments back and forth responding to several of your classmates' videos. One of my friends from class recognized the racist guy as someone who volunteers with the middle school soccer team. So she texted me like, "Should I say something?" And I said sure, so she posted in Spanish, "In the car is Mr. Jones who coaches the children. I learned from your video that he hates women, and is racist." I replied to say, "Does he teach the girls or the boys?" And she replied back, "Both." I replied back, "That is terrible." A guy in my class made a comment like, "The man yelling at his family is a police officer. He is always a very angry man." I replied back to say that is scary. The next day at school, my teacher wanted to talk to me alone. She told me that my video was inappropriate, and I shouldn't have filmed the neighbors or the coach. I said that the assignment was literally to walk around a place you're familiar with and react, like you're having a conversation with a friend. And that is literally how it goes when I walk around with my friends. My teacher said I was being belligerent on purpose, and I should have known that stuff has to be dealt with delicately. I said I just don't agree, it's just life and there's no point pretending that's not happening. She said she'd taken down the video and it was the sort of thing that should be brought to authorities instead of posted for the whole class. I said I didn't even know who the guy in the car was, and who was I going to call about the cop? The cops? I have a meeting with the principal coming up tomorrow. Am I the idiot for having posted that video for the Spanish class? Not the idiot. You were filming in real time your surroundings, which is perfectly legal. The coach who stopped his car to yell racist things had full control of his abilities, and chose to do that in public. Your video is a sad but accurate portrayal of your neighborhood, and satisfies exactly what the assignment was for. Your teacher has no right to be mad at you. Not the idiot, the teacher is panicking. Probably because she either didn't grow up in a neighborhood like this, or she didn't think through the consequences of a student actually showing what their neighbors are like, and outing people for being racist. If you can get another adult on your side, I would, but I would also say, I did the exact assignment that you requested. This is the area I had access to in order to complete the assignment. I understand you took the video down because you are concerned about the consequences of a middle school coach being outed for his racist misogyny, but I didn't know who he was. Also, I am a minor, and you can see from this video the victim of his racism. Why is your fear of repercussions more important than the fact that I experienced harassment from this man? As for the yelling neighbors, again, I am a minor, and, I am assuming, a minority. Now that we know who this person is, how much retaliation do you think I can expect for turning in footage of a police officer in the middle of a heated domestic argument with his wife to the police when he lives down the street from me? Also, this is not my responsibility. As for me being belligerent, I did the assignment as requested with the time and locations I had available to do so. I met every requirement of your rubric. I do not think it is fair for me to be penalized because I did not have the option to find a location that was more to your liking at the time. Is it safe to assume that this is about my neighborhood and social class? Don't be afraid of the power of the principal. Just stay super calm and polite. Bring an adult if you can. Update. I had the meeting this morning. I think it went well. So, last night I did a bunch of prep. Before the meeting, I emailed the video to the elementary school principal, guidance counselor, and a few parents I know with kids on the sports team to say their coach had yelled sexually explicit and hateful things at me, a student in the school system. I wanted to get out ahead and make sure the video was out there before the school maybe pressured me to delete it. Backed up the video to multiple places. Asked a teacher I trust to sit in on this meeting, and have it be recorded and sent to all participants afterwards. We scheduled it for just before the school day started, on Zoom, so I wouldn't miss any class. Decided to write up a list of things I'd want to discuss in the meeting and shared it with my favorite teacher in advance so she could help me address those questions. And for the actual meeting, I decided I'd just go into it, acting as if they would obviously do the right thing, and ask for help. I was hoping having a teacher on my side, and the meeting on video would pressure them to help. I thought if I approached it from an well obviously you're going to take this seriously perspective and had it on video, it would put them in a tough spot to have to contradict me. So when I called in, and everyone said good morning and the principal asked if I knew why I had been called in this morning, I just started out by saying yes, I assume it is about kids coach. Thank you so much for calling this meeting with me this morning. I really appreciate how proactive you are about addressing the sexual harassment from a staff member. I understand this is a mandated reporting state. I wanted to ask if there was any information you will need to add to your report. And the principal seemed kinda caught out, and said that a report had not yet been filled. I said well, as I understand it, there is a 48-hour time frame to file a report. I understand making you aware of this right before the weekend might have complicated things. Perhaps there was a miscommunication about the severity of the events? But I was approached in a car, sexually harassed and threatened by a man who works with other minors in the public school system. As soon as I said all that, the meeting tone really changed. The meeting also had a school guidance counselor on it, and I could tell she understood how serious what I was saying was. Especially because I was politely calling out that they were already past the legal deadline that they should have filed a report by. She actually took over and the principal didn't participate as much. I also tried to smooth things over somewhat by saying I was sorry I brought this to their attention in a school project instead of asking for a meeting with the principal directly. I should have reached out for help. So that's over. I'm still kind of freaking out how big of a deal it turned out to be. Also, I wanted to say thanks to everyone who had great suggestions for how to approach this, like having an adult to back me up, getting the meeting on record, and knowing about mandatory reporting. Am I the idiot for embarrassing the school principal? Last year, my daughter was finishing elementary school. She had been in special education, but for the last couple of years had been spending only half the time in special education. The elementary school principal was awful to deal with. She was against my daughter being mainstreamed, even though my daughter's teachers all said it was a good idea. We aren't the only family that has had these kinds of problems, so I assume she has issues with special needs students. My daughter had done so well that for 6th grade she was only going to have to be in special education for math. One day near the end of 5th grade, my daughter and her friends on the school bus decided to sing on the way home, and they annoyed the bus driver so much that he reported them and they got detention. My daughter did the detention and apologized, and since she had never been in trouble at school before, I didn't think this was a big deal. However, the principal had me come for a conference and made it seem like a serious problem. She said the behavior was unacceptable, and that she was going to recommend that my daughter stay in half-time special education in middle school. I said that was ridiculous. This was the only time she had been in trouble in 6 years. I know of many kids who have done much worse things at school, and they're not sent to special education, and neither were the other kids who sang on the bus. The principal said this behavior meant she wasn't ready to be almost out of special education, but obviously I disagreed since all my daughter's teachers said that she was ready. I accused the principal of being biased against special needs kids and went over her head. Fortunately, the principal did not get her way. My daughter did so well in 6th grade, that next year she won't have to be in special education at all. I'm very proud of how well she is doing, and I had forgotten the former principal, and put the incident out of my mind. Unfortunately, I saw the principal again shortly before school let out. I was at a school event, talking to some of the other parents when the principal saw me. She remembered my daughter and asked how she was. I told her that my daughter was being moved out of special education, and the principal gave this fake-looking smile and said that was great. The anger from last year came back and I said it is great, no thanks to you. The principal got uncomfortable and stuttered sorry, and I said you should be sorry. Then I told the other parents who were with us that the principal had a problem with special needs students, and she got embarrassed and walked away. I told my family what happened and I got mixed reactions. Some people think I did the right thing, some people think what I said was too mean, and some said that my reaction would have been okay if the principal and I had been alone, but that I shouldn't have said those things in front of other parents. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. If she didn't do anything wrong, she shouldn't have been embarrassed by you telling other parents what she did. Everyone's the idiot. The principal sucks for trying to hold your kid in special needs classes when all the teachers agreed she was ready to move to mainstream classes. You were crappy for assuming that the principal was completely fake and asking and responding to how your daughter was doing a year later and making a scene out of it. The principal was right to walk away and not feed into the drama. I understand why you got angry remembering your past confrontations with her, but you could have handled it better. There's a tendency when it comes to kids with disabilities, especially cognitive/mental disabilities, to view everything, and especially behavior they dislike, through the lens of the disability. It's like they forget that these kids are kids misbehaving in age-appropriate ways. They see bad behavior and they automatically assume it's connected to the disability, and therefore, rather than seeing it as a one-off mistake as they did for the other kids, they assume it's indicative that the kid has a behavioral issue.